mean, that's just smashed.
I mean, how can I not get excited? That was like a light 180-yard 8-iron, but go ahead. So we're back. Lesson 5. For anyone that has an inside takeaway, they can probably relate to the fact that I've tried to not have an inside takeaway for 18 years. I've done every feel that you could possibly do, and I change it every week, and nothing has worked. And so we just warmed up. I was gonna ask you, should I bring my left armpit to the ball? Because my big problem that I've gotten a million messages on, that I've heard a million times, is my arm turns and my left forearm rolls. And that's the reason why every time I get here, and then I bring it up, and then whatever. You're saying that's not necessarily, this is a product of this and other things that we're unlocking.
You historically are always, and this is just your resting space, you rest in your right glute. You bump into your right hip at normal setup.
Yep.
And your tendency is that. So this is normal Evan. Hang in the right glute a little bit.
Yep.
Hang the hands a little on the right side.
Yep.
And again, we're afraid of the inside takeaway, right? So if we are here to start with, and you just do your little half quarter swing thing, which you are able to do, no problem at all. Our problem is, correct me if I'm wrong, man, Josh, I feel like I do this, but then I watch my swing and it wipes under, it gets sucked under, and then I either hit a massive block or a big flip. And oh, by the way, my biggest fear is hitting this massive block or the big hook.
Yeah.
And the problem is by virtue of you being into the right glute and this way, you can't get to the top of the swing simply. Bump left hip, butt of the club left groin.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna try to make a 2/3 kind of a feel swing where I didn't quote unquote manipulate it. You jump that one just a little bit at the bottom.
A little.
You feel it?
Yeah.
Just a late,
yeah.
little snap?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I snapped it. What we're sort of acknowledging is my older pattern would have gotten me into a place where that little move there probably created a big ripped push draw. The result would have been good because that help matched some of the other things you were doing. Did that feel like you snapped it? I feel like you kind of just let it go.
I just let it go.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's make sure you free it up a little bit.
Yeah.
We are now making sure that your spine is in a posture and your arms and hands are in a setup where when you rock that chest back, it's super easy for you to get to this place so that all you have to do is let it drop and keep turning.
Yeah.
And let's just do that.
Okay.
It just looks like you're doing very, very little through the golf ball.
That looked smoother?
It just looks like you're just
Okay.
kind of like unwinding. Our next phase of this whole thing, which I think is ironically kind of where we started from in my initial message to you, how does it happen? How do we let it happen?
So are you saying that by getting the club a little bit more in my left groin, by bumping my hip, by not having this, because that's what I saw on that face-on view, I was like, that just doesn't look right.
Yep.
By getting here, is my chest rock matching my practice swings more?
Much, much more
Okay.
so. Right. And,
Okay.
and in general, hold it with just your left hand for a second.
Yeah.
That you know, in general, if the shaft is more I don't want to say exactly, I don't want to go all the way over, but if the shaft is more matching your left arm, you see that?
Yeah.
When you turn, the club just becomes an extension of your left arm on the way
Right.
back. If you're starting with the butt of the club pointing to the right, and I'm exaggerating probably a little bit here, but now that that's not lined up, you have to do something to get it to match back up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if it started more matched up because it's more here and you turn your chest, whoop, whoop, it can actually just go blip, blip, right?
Yeah.
That was great. That was so much more in tempo. And I've seen you hit enough, and you've explained it when we've talked offline on the golf course and stuff, when you're like, man, I hit a couple of those good. I feel like that's the effort level.
Yeah.
So you are in two parts now. Are you in an access point at setup to be able to make that what feels like a 2/3 arms drop, body clears swing?
Yeah.
And then did you actually do the thing that you had positional access to do. You
Right.
are in a two-phase thing. Did you have access? And then did you do it?
Yeah.
In fairness to you, when you are into the right hip and you are here, you have to do something that is going to be contrary to mission number 2.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Right.
So now we have this conflict. I'm trying to do nothing, but I have to do something. We're going to now get to a place where it really is actually going to be on you, because you can just let it drop and turn your body.
Right.
But this newest addition of bumping the hip a little left and getting the hands left groin is a major partner in your pursuit.
That one I definitely.
Yeah, goosed it.
Yep. But what's cool with this is I used to know I did that, but it used to frustrate the hell out of me because I was trying not to. And it was an that's why I used to think I had the yips, because it was an involuntary thing at the bottom. And I'd be like, why am I at the last second doing that? Now I at least understand, and I don't have to judge it. I just know I did it, but I know getting here with these things that we've all mixed together, I don't need to worry about it anymore.
I mean, that's just smashed.
I mean, how can I not get excited? That was like a light 180-yard 8-iron, but go ahead.
No. You know what? I'm not going to do it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm throwing a red flag on myself. How did it feel?
Okay.
Just tremendous?
Yeah.
Okay. If you imagined that the target was the pitcher and we had the outfield out there.
Yeah.
That when we're doing what we're doing here and you just turn your chest and you let the right side get out of the way and you feel like that the club is falling, if there was a sense, you could actually feel like the club was falling almost to right center field in a baseball game, which is that little push concept that we were talking about. When you were in a place where you were flipping the club over and the club was coming underneath, it was almost like your initial path was up the right field line, and then you had to do everything you could to pull it off of the right field line and bring it back to the center, but sometimes it stayed to the right field line, and sometimes you hooked it over the left field foul pole.
Right.
If it, because you have more room now, can get to a place where it is falling more to just right center field, what you have to trust is that if your arms are falling and your body is turning, it is the turning of the body that is bringing the club through, not the Evans manipulation of the club to make it not go right. And that's just something, respectfully, you're going to have to trust.
Yeah.
Because you used to almost have to do it. You have to be in a tilt and a position where when that chest turns, this can get just to here easily. This can get here easily, and all you're doing is letting this motion continue while you turn, and it gets over there. And just go experience that. You are now going to get to a place where you're like, you know what? If I just do the little 2/3 and I let it go, and as soon as I'm over here, I was like, didn't hang on, didn't help it, we're good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where it goes. I don't care.
But you felt that you hung on, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you still get into this Evan world of, oh man, I got to make sure I don't push it or make sure I help it, then you're going to get a little too close to it, and you're, you know?
Right.
And again, these are hyper hard things to figure out. And it's not, I don't want to go like, yes, no. And if you start evaluating, oh man, Evan, do a little more of this, do a little more of that, now you are getting into being a little bit of a micromanager.
Right.
Versus just going, okay, I'm a little here, a little bit back.
But I think this is a reps thing, right? I've got to be able to.
You've also hit, and again, I mean, just from a macro productive standpoint, and this is, I mean, I think for you, this is a general audience thing too. You get into ball after ball after ball after ball after ball. It starts, you got to go take a sip of water.
I think this is what every golfer wants when they go to a lesson, is all you got to do is bump in your left hip, change the angle, and suddenly the thing that felt so impossible is now fluid, and I have room.
2.
But it took us a while to get here.
Absolutely.
So not every lesson is like that.
No, and not every person is exactly the same. And we could have talked about this first, and then like you know, at the end of the day, there's only so many things you can address at one time. It's frustrating, right? Like, well, why didn't we just do that the first lesson? Like, We're building into a full story here. Yeah, it is a system. It is a recipe. Once you understand the recipe, you have to do a lot less than you think you have to do.
Yeah.
Left groin, and then just back off and just go 1, 2, and just feel like it's just this easy tossing rhythmic thing.
That felt good.
Be that guy. In fairness to you, when again, when you're here, even though I know you were doing this work, you basically had to roll it open. It's kind of what you were doing.
Yeah.
By virtue of being here, you see how much more I can get, even if the club came more inside, and I'm just saying for the sake of it, if it was more inside because it was just kind of connected with me here, that's a very different way of getting it inside than rolling it in, where the club is way behind my hands. If I'm a little bit bumped left and I just turn and rock my chest and I get my right side out of the way, look at where the shaft is in this photo versus where the shaft is in that. So you get there as opposed to there.
So I guess the main takeaway is you can't just look at someone and say, your problems are because your forearm rolls.
Your forearm was rolling, it just wasn't the root cause of the problem.
That's like saying, well, you have back pain, so let's fix your back, but actually it might be coming from your tight hamstrings.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I guess for every golfer that's watching this,
that's correct.
To me, the main takeaway is you can't just say, I look at the camera and my forearm rolls. It's rolling for a reason.
It's rolling for a reason.
You just need to figure out what that reason is, and it might not be trying not to roll your forearm.
That's correct.
As the fix.
That's correct. There are recipes out there that will allow people to play well with rhythm and motion and consistency if the positions that they start with and the patterns that they put themselves through can be done easily.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of contradictory stuff going on, it's just tough to do.
I will tell people, it's not necessarily comfortable where there's a deep, deep part of me that wanted to come here today and have you give me some type of feel to finally figure out how I can get it and be right here and look like all the guys on tour. There is a deep part of me that wanted to figure out what is my takeaway feel. But I need to stay patient and trust the process.
Let's establish a new start value, get you to feel something, really commit to the setup, really commit to my chest is turning and I'm letting my right side get out of the way, because if you do those two things, stop, where is the club?
It's in front of me.
It's in front of you.
Yeah.
If you started here and you're in your right hip, get into your right hip a little bit, right? That there, right?
Yep.
And you start like this, it looks like it's there, but then the reality is what you do is you do this. Stop right there. That's where you literally get to at that point. What I'm saying is if we bump a little left and you're here and you just start to rock your chest and go ahead and let the right hip get out of the way a little bit, stop right there. Where is the club?
It's in front of me.
Not because you said, I'm going to keep that sucker out in front of me, but because you had a position and a start value and you turned your chest and you let your right side get out of the way and the club stayed much more up in front of you. You could do that now.
That's all I've wanted forever.
You just got to start to trust over time that when I set up this way, my success is doing Costanza.
Right.
Versus before, where even though you didn't want to do anything, your actual success was just doing the right amount of something you kind of didn't really want to do.
Everybody's doing something. I'll do nothing.
Doing something.
All right, one more.
Oh.
Hit the line.
I feel
Good.
no big deal.
No big deal.